Hello and welcome to the Blue Screen Comedy Club. It's a comedy club that's unlike other comedy clubs because there is no way that this club would pass OSHA regulations. I mean, there's exposed wires there, there's a dog sleeping over there, there's a hole in the roof, it's a real mess in here, to be honest. But braving that mess to bring you hopefully some comedy or some entertainment, please welcome to the stage, that also has a hole in it, Mr. James Hayward. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Yes, so tonight I feel like I'm going to keep it nice and light for you all. I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm just going to have a nice, happy, uplifting story for you all, if that's all right. Okay, so I was chasing some children on a playground. I was also a child, so it wasn't strange. I was like 10 or 11. I don't really know. It was towards the end of elementary school. However old those children are, I was that old. And I was chasing them, and this was in a public school in Arizona. And the way they constructed playgrounds, jungle gyms, that sort of thing in Arizona, was they would use sheet metal. They would make some steps and then a little platform with slides coming off it, and all the steps and everything would be made of sheet metal. Now, this sheet metal wasn't very well finished. It was quite rough because they would spray the sheet metal, or cover it, with rubber. Now, the thing about rubber is, when you expose it to direct sunlight in three-figure temperatures, day after day after day, it will eventually melt. And that's what had happened on this playground. The rubber had melted away, exposing some steps where they weren't properly aligned, so it was a knife, basically, sticking out of the step, just jagged, sheer metal. So I was running up the steps, tripped, and I fell. My leg hit the jagged metal, basically a knife, only more dangerous because it's not, sharpened off. And then I decided to keep chasing those kids. There's probably a better way to say that, but I don't know what it is. So I took a few more steps and I thought, you know what? My leg really hurts, actually. So then I looked down and there was a hole in my leg, about that thick. But remember, I was like 10, so my leg was that thick, so it was quite bad. I looked down, hole, lots of red, some white in the middle. And I thought, I probably shouldn't run on that, I'll go sit down. So I went and sat down on the bench by the edge of the playground. The other kids came to me like, what the hell, we were playing tag, you can't just sit this out, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, well, my leg, there's a hole in it, there's white, do you see the white? Yeah, and they were disturbed, and they told me to go tell an adult. Now, this was a summer program run by the school. There were maybe 2 adults around. The rest of them were teenagers. I didn't know that at the time. I thought, he's hit puberty. That's a full-grown man right there. So I went up to the teenager that was watching the playground at the time and said, hey, my leg's a bit weird. And they ran away. And they got the adult. And then they quickly whisked me away into a storage closet, so as not to traumatize the other children at this daycare. And this storage closet was where they kept all the board games, so they put a teenager in there with me while they called my mum, and I thought, this is great. I have access to whatever board games I want now. God, I should have fallen on a slice my leg open more often. This is amazing. And so my mum came, and I will always respect my mum for this. She picked me up and drove me to the hospital in her, at the time, newish Range Rover with like a nice tan cream interior. I mean, if I'm a parent, and I don't plan on being a parent for reasons that will become obvious shortly, I wouldn't wouldn't take my bloody kid into any sort of vehicle, literally this time. I mean, I don't care if it's like a Honda Civic with black leather interior. I'm not putting a kid in that. It ruined the thing. But then they took me to the hospital, had some stitches put in, and then I remember it was a few hours after I arrived, and it was time for me to try walking, giving that a try. So, I was walking around the little area, the reception area of the children's ward, and that's when I saw it. It was like a plastic treasure chest. It was the most intriguing thing I'd ever seen, because, it's a hospital, everything's white and sterile, and then there's this brown and gold plastic treasure chest. So I opened it up, and it was full of all these little, like, plastic trinkets inside for kids, and I was like, wow, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I hadn't been to college yet, mind you, so I was also, coming off some medication, so my threshold for perception wasn't very high. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, I'm looking through all these little trinkets, and this nurse comes up to me. I'm sure she's a perfectly lovely person. I don't think you can find any nurses in a children's ward of a hospital who aren't just top-notch, brilliant people. But to me, in my mind, that nurse was literally Satan. Because she came up to me, and she said, "Have you had a shot, honey?" And I look at her, I'm like, no, can I get back to my little important business here? "Oh, well, those toys are only for people who have had shots." I thought, oh, okay, alright, fine, whatever, put it back, close the lid, walking away, and then I remembered, wait a minute. When I was in surgery, a doctor gave me a shot. He jabbed a needle into the raw, exposed flesh of my leg to try and make it hurt less, and it didn't work. But I had a shot today, so I turned around to give this nurse 1-4, and she was completely gone. Vanished. I guess she had more important things to do than stopping children getting into a plastic treasure chest. God knows what. So then I thought to myself, you know what? That nurse did me wrong, but I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm just going to go back to bed and lay there. I'm not going to go after my plastic kazoo. Yeah, that's right. So clearly I had already been developing quite an ego from a young age, and then something beautiful happened. I was getting ready to leave, they were discharging me, and then my nurse came in with an even bigger plastic treasure chest. And she said, "Oh, you've had surgery today. These are for the brave little boys who have had surgery, because you were so brave during your stitches and all that today." And then she opened it up, and that chest was full of Beanie Babies. Not some plastic twiddly thing that goes around like that, not some kaleidoscope, Beanie Babies. And I thought, why the hell didn't I slice my leg open before this? This is amazing. And then I was walking out with my Beanie Baby doggy, and I saw the nurse from earlier, and I stared her down with the proof that I was a brave little boy who was deserving of gifts. And we walked by. She said, "Oh, you got better, good for you, okay, bye." I was so pleased, and I'm just staring her down like, yeah, see this brave boy here? You can't bring me down. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but then I get a Beanie Baby after. Yeah. And then I went home. Don't know what happened to the Beanie Baby. Probably lost it. That's a bit sad. Especially considering the extortionate prices of medical care. That Beanie Baby was probably one of the more expensive Beanie Babies anybody's ever bought. But I said I wasn't going to get into politics. Now, you're probably wondering, hey, that didn't seem like a safe environment for a child. Did your parents sue the school and get some money? And the answer is no, because, well, my parents have class. But I do remember being taken back to the playground with my mum and a very important adult, and pointing out the knife that was just shooting up out of the steps. And the next year, when school started again, all the playgrounds had like little awnings on them to shade them from the sun. And, well, thinking back on that, I don't know how much an awning that covers an entire playground costs. But I can tell you that you can probably get quite a few Beanie Babies for the price of an awning. I would say a hell of a lot of Beanie Babies for the price of an awning. So, I guess if there is a message to this, I'm not saying there is, but if there is, if your child is mangled by a school playground, sue them. Buy Beanie Babies. That's it from me tonight. I've been James Hayward. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, bell icon, other things, I don't know. Follow me on Instagram or my website, jamesmichaelhayward.com. This is more of an outro than I normally have. That doesn't matter. You're probably not watching anymore. Good night.